Welcome to Talk the Talk with Tribe Title. Today's guest is Erin McKenzie. Thanks for coming on, Erin.
Of course. Happy to be here.
Been a long time coming. I was waiting to have you on. I'm excited to talk to you.
You ran out of good guests.
Not true. So we'll just dive right in. So I've gotten the chance to get to know you a little bit, which has been awesome. But to people that don't know you, what's kind of your story? I know you've been in real estate for quite a long time, especially how young you are. You started out really young, right?
I love it when you call me young. So I got licensed when I was 19 years old.
Crazy.
I'm coming up on 18 years this year. If you do the math, that makes me 37. It's a whole thing. So I got licensed at 19. A family friend of mine was selling new construction condos in Canton.
Yeah. And
was looking for an assistant. Said, come work for me. And I said, I'm waiting tables. I'm good. And she's quite persistent, and so I started doing that. Found I enjoyed it, right? I was helping with people. I was no longer dealing with food. I got to get dressed up and kind of play grown up a little bit.
Right.
And really enjoyed it. Simultaneously, I was dabbling in college at Eastern and Schoolcraft, not really finding any sort of path that was grabbing on.
Yeah.
I had a couple came through the condos, so I was giving them a tour, and the woman said, you would be the best flight attendant. And I said, flight attendant? And mind you, I'm 19 years old, right? So like, this sounds excellent.
Yeah.
She goes, yes, I work for, Pinnacle, which is the regional of Northwest Airlines.
Yeah.
I'm dating myself now. And she said, we're hiring, you should check it out. So I went to an open casting for flight attendants. Yeah. So I became a flight attendant and a real estate agent at the same time.
That's crazy.
And it's been so long ago, a lot of people don't even know that piece of the story. So I was flight attendant for 4.5 years. I flew regional for Northwest, and then I flew corporate for Johnson Controls.
Okay.
And I was also selling real estate at the same time. So I was what we call dual career.
Yeah.
For 4.5 years or so. And it got to the point where I would be negotiating deals while taxiing down the runway, and I knew it was time to do something different. So I clipped my wings, dove into real estate semi full-time. I still had some odd gigs here and there.
Yeah.
And then, the rest is history.
That's cool, though. I didn't know that. So so you were like between 19 and 24
when I finally got into real estate full time.
So then were you living at home this time, or did you buy your own place?
I bought my first house 2 weeks after my 23rd birthday.
Okay. I was gonna say, because you had to be doing pretty well for yourself to be working 2 jobs.
I did okay. It was 2004, 5, 6, 7. So the market was coming up and then coming down really quickly. So I started selling $50,000, $100,000 houses, which don't add up that quickly.
Right.
But I bought my first house and 3.5 miles directly east of my parents in Canton.
That's awesome.
And right after that is when I stopped flying.
Okay. And then now, so you've been through it through 08 and all that nonsense. Okay. So then did that kind of deter you? Did you try to get out, or did you know that was your thing?
It was so much fun. So
really?
I joined a team. And the team I was working with had a Fannie Mae account, so they were listing Fannie Mae foreclosures.
Oh, okay.
And so he would get buyer leads and hand them to me, and I would run around all over Southeast Michigan and work buyers for Fannie Mae foreclosures.
Nice.
Real estate agents, we joke that we're really bad at math unless it's 3 or 6%, right?
Right.
And we were selling such cheap houses that 3% of, say, $50,000 or $25,000 wouldn't add up enough.
Right.
So Fannie Mae came out with this program where they were offering $1,000 commission per deal.
Okay.
Because 3% was less than that.
Right.
And so I was making $1,000 a pop selling Fannie Mae foreclosures. It was awesome. So for me, I was too young to know better, right? And it was beer money. Yeah. And I paid the bills and got it done. And I had roommates in my house to help cover the mortgage. And so it was a blast.
So you were house hacking.
Basically, I was ahead of my time.
Yeah, I guess so. That's cool. So now, the kind of cool thing about it is, like, obviously the money wasn't there, but you probably got to do so many deals that you would get immersed in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's cool. So now I know, I'm sure a lot of people got out of it too then, because, people that were obviously established and had families and big mortgages, that's probably a tough pill to swallow. But
they couldn't afford to stay.
Yeah.
Because I was so young and comparatively, it was cheap for me to live.
Right.
I could afford to stay in.
Yeah.
So you had people, adults in the industry who had, $500,000 houses and giant mortgages. And this is right after really creative mortgage practices too, right? So they were mortgaged to the hilt and they had ARMs. So their arms were adjusting up to crazy amounts that they couldn't sustain.
Right.
So they couldn't afford to stay in real estate. So they had to get out. So that opportunity of people getting out of the business in a crashing market is where those who can make it through are able to gain market share.
Right.
We're seeing something similar now too. So a lot of people are getting out of the industry because it's not as easy as it has been the last couple of years to buy and sell homes.
Right.
And so this is the time where if you can stick it through, gain that market share, you come out on the other end.
Yeah. Did that kind of shape you at all as far as like how you live now? As far as like frugality, do you kind of find yourself like where you're always preparing for that next thing?
I wish that happened, but no, it didn't. My real husband, Rich, who and my work husband, Dominic, can both tell you that I'm really good at spending money.
Okay.
So some of my best skills.
So Rich kind of holds the purse strings?
No, not at all. I'm just really good at spending money and making it.
Okay. Well, that works out though. If you make it, then you can spend it.
Absolutely. I like spending Dominic's money too.
Nice. We all do. So now, when did you meet Rich?
I met Rich I was just thinking about this the other day. Was it 2010 or 11? In the spring.
Okay.
It was springtime. And I met him through the Junior Chamber, which is networking for people who are 21 to 40 years old.
Yeah. Networking,
community service, giving back. He was a member, but not super active. And then I became a member and became the membership vice president.
Okay.
And it was my job to engage him as an inactive member and collect his dues. And so we met, and I thought he was the cutest thing ever.
He's pretty cute.
He's so cute. And that went from 0 to 60 really quickly. And it was like I found my person. Like, there you are.
That's awesome.
We were both super single at the time. And
now, so you're always been kind of a, I guess you'd call it outgoing person, which I guess probably suits you very well in this business and being a flight attendant, which hearing that now makes so much sense. Like, how did I not know this in the past? But that seems perfectly suited for you.
No one's ever surprised.
Yeah.
They're always like, really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I can see it.
Yep.
So then you got involved in the Junior Chamber. That's cool too, because you were involved in the Junior Chamber way back then when you met Rich. Mm-hmm. And technically by those guidelines, you're still young enough to be in the Junior Chamber.
Yeah. So I joined the Junior Chamber in 2010. Is that bad that I remember that? So I must have met Rich in 2011. Yeah. So I'm coming up on 12 years. I'm not super active in the organization right now with kids and everything. Right. And we live in Brighton. My home chapter is Livonia.
Okay.
So it's just hard to be everywhere at once, but it's an amazing organization and was really influential in shaping me, my leadership skills. Yeah. Networking was huge. At the peak of my sales career, which I've stepped back from a little bit, but getting back into now, I was getting about 26% of my business from referrals from the Junior Chamber.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's huge.
Amazing network.
That's cool. Now, going forward with that, then, so now how long have you been with Keller Williams?
So I was with Keller Williams back in the day for about 8 months in Plymouth. And then I joined a team at Coldwell Banker, switched to Coldwell Banker. In 2015, I had kind of outgrown the team that I was on at Coldwell. We had moved to Brighton, which Rich is from Brighton. So it was kind of moving home for him. We bought a house in Brighton. I was pregnant with Declan, my first, and decided after I had Dec, okay, it's time for me to move my business closer to where my house is, right? So I was just going to move from Coldwell Banker to Coldwell Banker. So I sat down with the broker at Coldwell Banker. It was going to be nice and simple. Yeah. And then I had met Dominic and his partner at the time a couple months before that. And I messaged them like, hey, we're going to be neighbors. I'm moving in across the street because our office was directly across from the Coldwell office at the time. And they said, no, you can't. You have to sit down with our broker before you sign. I'm like, okay, fine. So I came in and met with Rick Smith, who was our broker and owner at the time. And I had just had ear surgery. So I had like this big thing on my ear. And I Dominic loves to tell how big my ego was. So I was kind of a big deal. I was selling between $10 and $12 million a year, which at the time was big numbers.
It's huge.
And I sat down with Rick, and he was so sweet, and you could tell he cared a ton.
Yeah.
And he asked me, what do you want in a broker? And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And he wrote down on a piece of paper something along the lines of, leave me alone or stay out of my way and be there when I need you. I'm like, that's it. Like, I know what I'm doing at this point. I just need a place to hang my license. So after I met with Rick, I went back and I was kind of thinking, I'm like, you know what? There are a lot of agents and businesses that I really respect at KW.
Yeah. Ken
Posick, who is from the Northville area, was a buddy of mine who'd always been really great to me. Jeff Glover, all these big businesses, Mike Perna, giant businesses. And I'm like, there might be something to this KW situation. Right. If we're going to make change, let's make a big one. And honestly, the deciding factor was Coldwell Banker was going to be $18,000 more expensive for us.
Okay.
KW was going to be $18,000 cheaper. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So it was me, one buyer's agent, and an admin at the time. And we signed on with KW, and that was Declan will be 8 in July. So almost 8 years ago.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then you started your own team. Did you have your own team at that point, or is this when you started getting the idea to start your own team?
So when I left Coldwell, I was at a team. When I came, one of the buyer's agents and one of the admin from that team came with me. Okay. Of their own volition. I did not recruit them. That's important to know. So we became the Erin McKenzie team. Okay. Because we weren't creative enough to come up with anything else other than that. We were the Erin McKenzie team for about 2 minutes. Yeah. And Dominic and his partner at the time needed admin support. I had a great admin. So we ended up merging and taking on their brand, which was my home team at the time. Okay. And we ended up adding Billy as a partner. So there was 4 of us, all running really fast in the same direction. It was a really cool couple of years with some really great people. A 4-way partnership isn't super sustainable. Yeah. So it was really cool while it lasted, and I have some beautiful memories from that time. And eventually we decided to dissolve that partnership. I took what was left of the team, rebranded into my Roots group. Yeah. And that was 2018.
Okay. So not too long ago.
No, it was when Dominic got the opportunity to buy the Market Center. And now we're my Roots group and we're cranking.
Awesome. And then, so now you came in, when Dominic took over, you guys relocated. Were you the team leader before that or after the relocation?
So Dominic bought the Market Center in 2018, asked me to be the team leader. I said no. He hired somebody else. Then that didn't work out. He hired another team leader. Well, he asked me again, and I said no. He hired another team leader. And then COVID happened. Yeah. And I had my second baby. So February of 2020, I had Cora. March of 2020, the world shut down. Right. And this was while we were moving from Howell to Brighton. This is all happening at the same time. Yeah. The world is in pure chaos. Right. And we decided it's a great time to move our Market Center.
Yeah. And have a baby.
And then I doubled down on that. And coming out of COVID, Dominic said, come be my team leader. And I said, that's a great idea. I just had a brand new baby. Right. We're in a global pandemic. I should get another job. Yeah. So I did. I became the team leader for the Market Center in June of 2020.
Okay. And now that was, so as a team leader, is it typically, do you take a step back from a production role at that point?
Yep. So most team leaders don't sell at all. Okay. It was part of my negotiations that I could still take care of my sphere, right? My friends and family who are looking to buy or sell. Yeah. And because I had the team, I had a lot of support and leverage in that. Right. But I did, because running the Market Center does take so much time and effort. Yeah. I did turn down the amount of production over the last couple of years.
Right. And is that kind of more of like a conflict of interest thing? Is that why a team leader doesn't typically?
Conflict of interest, it can be. Like, most agents don't want to see their leader competing with them. Right. But I can tell you, I've never gone on a listing appointment where another KW agent from our office was also interviewing. Right. And Dominic and I both set the same standard that if we ever were competing against one of our agents, we would give it up instantly. Yeah. It would be a non-negotiable for us. We would just give it to our agent or help our agent with it. Right. Yeah. It's more, the job requires so much focus. Gotcha. And agents want to see that you're playing all in, right? Right. You're their leader. They want to see that you're leading them all in. Yeah. So it just requires a lot of time.
Okay. And now, I'm guessing you love that position because you obviously love people and helping people. But you did recently step down from that position.
I did.
Was that kind of going in? Was it more of a, hey, I'm going to do this for a little while type of thing, or it became something you were no longer wanting to do?
So I love the role. And I've been referring to this last 2.5 years as team leader session 1 for Erin.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely think I'll come back to it.
Okay.
2022 was a really crazy year. We had a lot of staffing changes at the market center. We had a lot of staffing changes on my team.
Yeah.
Cora, as you know, was sick, so she was in the hospital 4 times. So it was just crazy, overwhelming. And my sweet, sweet little gremlin baby does not sleep. So she's almost 3. She'll be 3 in a week and a half.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm real tired.
Right.
And it was this really stressful and beautiful negotiation of like feelings and effort and time with Dominic and Bill and Lori, who was our MCA, where I was stressed.
Yeah.
And I knew it was time to make a change when I yelled at Billy. Not for no reason, but definitely my reaction was much stronger than he deserved, because he's so sweet, right?
Yeah.
I yell at Dominic all the time, but he most of the time earns it.
Right.
And I knew, okay, like something's got to give here. I'm not sleeping. My kids are little. The team's suffering. The market center's not getting the best of me.
Yeah.
Something's got to give. And it was really difficult to admit as, strong, independent woman that I can't do it all.
Yeah.
My plate was too full. And luckily, Dominic and Bill and Lori were all tight and really close, so we can have those really open conversations and say, okay, I have to do something different.
Yeah.
And even just saying that I wanted to consider stepping down was a huge relief.
Oh, yeah.
And having Dominic say, of course. He's like, I know you're losing it.
Yeah.
Because he's so, we spend so much time together.
Right.
So he was watching me suffer, but also would never say, like, you got to go.
Right.
So we eventually came to the conclusion that I would stay on staff in a smaller role because I love this company.
Right.
I love our agents. And we have come so far in the last 5 years and so much growth and so much change. Like, I'm not willing to say I'm done here.
Right.
But also, we've got to bring in some more energy and somebody else to help.
Yeah.
So we put out the word that we were looking for a new team leader to replace myself. That's a weird process.
I can imagine.
Replacing yourself in a role is very strange. And it's a strange role to fill, right? You're looking for someone who's somewhat operation-brained, somewhat what we call agent-brained.
Right.
You've got to be able to understand both sides of it, how to run the business and what agents are going through and how to support them. Sometimes it's great to find an agent who's been there, done that. Sometimes you're looking for somebody outside. We had one internal candidate who was amazing, and we were really considering going with him.
Yeah.
But we have a really tight hiring process that we work with. It's called Career Visioning. It's a Keller hiring process.
Yeah.
And to stay true to the process, we knew we had to interview at least a handful of candidates to make sure we were finding the best.
Yeah.
And I had an Indeed ad out there, and Boyd Rudy, who owned his own brokerage in Plymouth, who I'd known about forever and ever, applied. And I thought it was a joke.
That's what he told me. I had him on here a few weeks ago. Yeah.
And I'm sitting there with Dominic. I'm like, what's the punchline? Like, I don't, like, I get that he's trying to be funny, I guess, but like, why is it funny? How is it funny? So I called him. I'm like, what's up, dude? Yeah. And come to find out that he was ending his partnership at the time, and it's a win for us. So now we've got a new team leader. Yeah. I'm staying on as ATL, and our agents and our brokerage will be better for it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I didn't know much about him. So when I had him on here, that was the first time I'd really talked to him. And going back with him, kind of like I did with you, like, where did you start? What did you do? It made perfect sense. Like, the light bulb went off. I'm like, whoa, okay, this guy was like perfect for this spot.
He's the candidate we never would have even hoped for.
Yeah.
Because it's too good, right? He's got recruiting experience. He's run his own brokerage.
Yes.
He's been an agent. His agents really love him, right? We had recruited one of his agents away from him. Sorry. Not sorry. And so when I started talking to him, like, hey, Farron, what do you think about Boyd? And she lit up. Like, she was so excited to be able to have KW and Boyd.
Yeah.
That was
that was where Farron was?
Yeah, Farron came from that brokerage.
That.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, he seemed like a really great guy, and like just a wealth of knowledge. And like you said, in recruiting, growing teams, I know he was in it through the hard times too.
Yep.
And he said he had like a mortgage brokerage at the time, a real estate brokerage. And so, yeah, it seemed like he had just a world full of experience.
Absolutely.
Really cool. So now that position filled, you still have a smaller role there. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of your goal, is to now focus more on your team?
Yes. Back to my roots group and giving them the time, attention, leads, leverage, service, care that they deserve. Owning a team is it's a big blessing, right? You have people that have said, I'm going to partner with you. I'm going to follow you. I'm trusting you to help build the business that I need. And I have like the best people.
You really do. I mean, you have a lot of great agents.
I do. I have the best ones. And while being team leader was great, and I loved it so much, they weren't getting the best of me, and they deserve more.
Right. It's like when you have kids and you kind of like realize like, okay, now I have to spread this attention out, but make sure everybody's getting what they need individually. And it sounds like you just had too many kids.
I had too many kids, man. And when I told the market center and the leadership council and everything that I was stepping down from the team leader position, everyone was so sweet and so supportive. But when I told the team I was coming back and giving up the team leader role, they were pumped.
Oh, yeah.
And so like that over enthusiasm made me know, okay, this is exactly the correct move.
And it's a cool spot too, because the way it is now, it's almost like now they have two team leaders, because you've done it, you've been there, you're always willing to help.
Absolutely.
You have Boyd Rudy, who's awesome. And now you can kind of share in that, which is a great win for everybody.
Absolutely. And we're always looking for balance and personality type, right? Yeah. So I tend to be the more warm, fuzzy, affectionate leader. Yeah. Boyd is a lot more even-keeled personality, which is healthy and good. And so now our agents get both, and Dominic and Bill and Lori. Right. And we just hired a new tech trainer.
Oh, nice.
I don't know if you know.
Oh, yeah. It's... Did you say who it was?
It's Esteban Rubio.
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't know that.
I know. It's brand new information. You're not behind.
That's awesome. Okay.
So we're so excited to add Esteban to our leadership.
Yeah, he's great.
He's a born leader.
Yes.
That's his personality. That's who he is to the core. And our tech platform just gives him a platform to lead from.
Right.
We've been wanting to find a spot for him that makes sense for us and for him for a long time. Right. And so we're super pumped too.
That's a great addition. He's an incredible guy.
He is.
That's very cool. I did not know that. Well, that's breaking news.
Breaking news live on, well, it's not live, but.
Right. Awesome. So now with that being said, what's kind of your goals now? Is it basically get the team running? You're going to step back into a production role now, I'm assuming as well.
I am. So the goal is to get the team back up into ship shape. We were down pretty significantly in production just for a lot of reasons, but get the team back up to being what we call a millionaire real estate team. Yeah. So that's the goal one, right? We real estate agents set goals a lot of different ways, whether it's volume or units or gross commission income, appointments set, things like that. Yeah. For me, my one mission is get back to being an MREA. Yeah. And so our growth as a market center in 2021, we had 2 MREA teams, us and Bun Warren and Associates. In 2022, we had 3 MREAs, Bun Warren and Associates, Red Door Real Estate, and Vish and Associates, which is awesome. The fact that Roots Group fell off is a heartbreak. Right. The fact that we added 2 more, huge. So I'm excited that we'll have at least 4 MREAs in 23.
And you guys just showed up on the board yesterday at the team meeting. So you're moving
top
back
listing
the right direction.
Group, because I'm back in production.
That's awesome. And then has it been kind of a double-sided sword? Good blessing for Bill too. I'd imagine Bill learned a lot because of the fact that you were in the team lead position. He probably helped out a lot with the team.
Absolutely. He's always been my right hand, my left hand, my sounding board, my everything. And he's been amazingly supportive. When I had Cora, before we knew that the world was going insane, right. I turned to Bill to help run the team while I took maternity leave because with Declan, I took 4 weeks off and I was on someone else's team and they weren't set up to really help long term. They were great if it was a vacation or something like that, but to really take the time to be a new mom at home, right? So I was forcing myself to take an 8-week maternity leave. The world shut down and forced me to have like a 4-month maternity leave, which was great. But Bill was ready, willing, and able to step up completely. Yeah. And when we went on lockdown, Bill was the boots on the ground, right? Yeah. I had a brand new baby. We were supposed to be moving out of the office. There was no way in hell Rich was letting me or the new baby out of the house with a global pandemic setting in. And Bill was the rock for the team, which was absolutely amazing. Yeah. I'm endlessly thankful for that, man.
And he's kind of like the Boyd, like he's very calm and even keeled, which is probably a good balance with you and him.
He is a tinge stubborn. Don't let him fool you.
See that. So now with you being back in production, what do you see for yourself in the next couple of years? Is it just pure growth?
Yeah, so it's just getting back to it. At the peak of my sales, I was doing between 50 and 60 units. With the kids and the team and everything, I don't aspire to that anymore. Yeah. Maybe when the kids are older. But 36 units for the year, nice and steady, 3 a month. That's a balance that I can do as a mom and as an agent, as a team owner. So just very getting back to it.
Yeah. And now, I mean, the thing too with the team lead, when you were saying it just got to be too much. Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the things you guys always preach, which I think is amazing, is the life by design.
Yes.
Obviously, at that point, that was not the life you had designed for yourself.
And that's the thing. Our environment is so supportive of life by design. So when Dominic hired me, he knew exactly what he was getting, right? And he knew that I had to drop Deck off at school in the morning and that I had to be home by 4:30. So he was getting a 9:15 to 4:15 employee, right? He was not going to get 40, 50, 60, 70 hours out of me. Right. And there are a lot of team leaders who do that. So I was home the hours I wanted to be. Yeah. But I was trying to cram 70, 80 hours worth of work into 35. Yeah. And that's where there was always so much left on the to-do list. Right. And I felt like I was letting people down. Yeah. And did other people feel I was letting them down? Maybe, maybe not. But I wanted to do more and be better. Yeah. And I think our agents and the team and my family all deserved more. Yeah. I deserved more. Yeah. Right? The mental load. Right. Had to lessen it.
Yeah. That's too much.
So it was time.
So how did Rich feel about that? I'm sure he was probably happy to hear that as well.
Rich is happy if I'm taking stress off my plate, right? He gets a less grumpy wife. It works out really well.
Right. Oh, that's great. So now you're going to go back into a production role. Your goal is 36. Mm-hmm. Where do you see the market going? I mean, you hear so many different things about rates going up, going down, inventory. So what's kind of the plan to get things moving forward?
So this market's interesting, right? Very. And we're in what we call a shift. And the shift means something's changing, whether it's a technology shift or a buyer's market or a seller's market. And we're seeing a lot of micro shifts or micro markets. So some houses are going on market right now and we're still seeing multiple offers. Some houses are going on market and they're sitting for 30, 60, 90 days. Yeah. Our days on market average in the county, I think Billy said, is north of 60 at this point.
It was 81, I think he said.
81, thank you. So some houses are just going up and they're not moving fast. Yeah. And so educating both buyers and sellers what the new normal is. In a active shift, when you're going from point A to point B, right. It's the middle part that's stressful, the middle part that's scary, the unknown. Once you go from A to B, even if B is lower prices or longer days on market, as long as everyone understands what B is, right. You're good. It's getting everyone there. Yeah. So it's maintaining and educating and staying on top of things every single day. And helping people get to where they want to go, right? One of the things I love about real estate sales is you're not selling someone something they don't want. Mm-hmm. I have never once convinced someone to list their house when they didn't want to. Right. Like, I'm not selling you a widget or a gadget. Right. I'm helping you do something you are already going to do. Right. And I do it better and faster and get you more money for it. Yeah. So it's helping those people who are going to buy or sell or invest get to where they want to go. Yeah. So it's a market of the willing and the motivated.
Right. Like people say, like people are always going to buy and sell. I mean, it's just
correct.
Life happens, things happen. The houses that stick around, it's weird. You say some of them are multiple offers, over asking. Yep. And then some sit. Do you think that's purely a price thing? Like their agent didn't inform them of what's going on, or?
No, it's a lot of things. It's price, condition, access. so if a house is priced right and it's in good condition and the sellers let you through, those are the three things that motivate a sale the most. Yeah. But it's also the type of house, right? So I have a listing right now that's been hanging out for a while, and it's a really nice house, one of the nicer in the neighborhood, but it's a little dated. Yeah. And the backyard's not that big. Okay. So you've got to find a buyer who doesn't mind a smaller backyard and doesn't mind doing some work, right? Is the price high? Maybe a little bit, but it's also some buyers will just never buy the house that needs work. Right. Right. So it's how big is your buyer pool? Yeah. The goal is to always make your buyer pool or make your listing as attractive to the largest pool of buyers possible. Right. And sometimes that's paint, and sometimes it's whatever, and sometimes it's price. And sometimes it's just going to take time to find the right buyer. Yeah, which is wild too. And I'm sure you've seen this since, the start of when you were in till now. It seems like a lot of people have no interest in doing any renovations. Yes. Which blows my mind because the equity that you're leaving by not doing that is incredible. Absolutely. So the darn millennials, which I can say because I'm absolutely a quintessential millennial. We grew up on HGTV and Pinterest, and you're looking for an aesthetic. Yeah. It's a vibe you're looking to pick up. And so they're looking to buy something that's done and where they can be the lead character in the story. Yeah. And they're walking into a home that suits them perfectly. And so if a home doesn't suit them perfectly and it doesn't follow the storyline that they've created for them to be the main character in, then they're often just moving on to find something that is. Yeah. Which the part that kind of fascinates me about that is I thought that with all those shows, I would have thought that would have moved more people into the realm of wanting to fix up because they see the possibilities. You know what I mean? Now some people would have the vision, whereas they wouldn't before, but it's like it did the opposite. Yeah. Which is weird. And there are a ton of people who love that process, right? They love the fixing upping and they love that storyline. They love being the creator and the person who brings back the woodwork or whatever it is. So I don't want to minimize that those people don't exist because they absolutely do. I'm guilty. I'm that person. Yes. But even like the house that Rich and I live in now, I was pregnant with Declan, sick as a dog. It was a foreclosure the middle of winter. And we're walking through and I'm freezing and I'm pregnant and I'm grumpy. And I'm like, this house sucks. And Rich is like, Erin, look around. Like, look what we could do with this house. Yeah. So Richard, my non-real estate husband, had the vision that I did not. Right. And I love my house. Yeah. It's the one we ended up buying, obviously. Yeah. So sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees. Were you renovating with Declan there? Yeah. So we bought in March of 15. Deck was born in July. We're still not done. It's a lifelong project. I have a theory about that. So now, and Declan probably sleeps really well. He's a great sleeper. See, my oldest son sleeps really well, and I've renovated 2 houses with him in there, and I would be in there smashing stuff while he would be napping. Yes. And now he sleeps like a rock. Yes. Maybe that's the problem. We haven't done enough projects with Cora. Yeah, you got to turn up the noise. Oh, that baby. Yeah. Our first house together. So I had my first single girl house in Canton. Yeah. Rich and I bought our first house together when we were dating in South Lyon. It was a total dump, like a gut job. So we had put so much time in it. Well, Rich put a lot of time and effort into renovating that house. Yeah. So by the time we got to Brighton, he was just like too tired. Yeah. So we'll get to it. Right. Yeah. It's different too. Once you have kids and you live there, it gets really hard. Like I can do a flip fast, but my house, I just finished it and it was like 4.5 years. Yeah. But it's different. It's amazing what you can do when your kids aren't around. I know. That's the thing. So much productivity. You have to do a little thing, clean everything up, and then set it all up to start again. Whereas like in a house, you can just leave everything everywhere and go at it. Can I plug a painter who does that? Absolutely. So Ryan Schingeck, who's Kevin and Candy's son, that man and his crew are the best painters in Livingston County. Okay. Yes. I've heard good things about him. So good. So he treats his business like a business. He actually comes out and quotes. He returns phone calls. He gives you invoices promptly, which is all amazing. Yeah. But then when he's painting your house, so I had him do my entire first floor a year or 2 ago, right? So Cora was there and Declan and the dog and, chaos. And it was a couple day project. Every day before they left, they cleaned up and buttoned everything up to the point where we could function as a family in our home. That's nice. Amazing. Yeah. And it's, like you said, even just those little things, they treat it like a business. Yes. That's the hardest thing with trades now. It's like someone would just show up,
They
or
write
don't show
stuff
up
on a napkin. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They don't show up, or they quote it and you say, yeah, let's do it. And then they never come back.
Correct.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
Good for him. I'll actually see if I can put a memo in the bottom of the podcast with his contact information.
Awesome.
All right. So Erin, now if somebody wants to reach out to you to talk real estate, list, buy, or just has questions, how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah. Or if someone's looking to get into real estate,
yes,
we have no cost to you pre-licensing classes. So that's really important.
Right. Yeah, that is.
So if you want to get into real estate, you can do it. You know, the classes, the 40 hours are free. So I can be emailed at McKenzie, McKenzie @kw.com. Or you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, or the TikToks because I'm super hip and cool. Yeah.
And now, so your guys' house, this is your forever house.
It's our forever until something on Crooked Lake opens up that is big enough and not insanely priced. Yeah. Which could be for our forever house, the way prices are going.
Yeah, no kidding. But you're all active, like you guys love the neighborhood you're in.
Love our neighborhood.
And that's the neighborhood that there's also, is that the listing you have is in your neighborhood?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the house or the neighborhood has 78 houses.
Yeah.
I've been able to place a bunch of family and friends in the neighborhood. So we've got our little village there. Declan's best friend's family moved in, who we've known since before the kids were born. Yeah. So it's a really fun. We can walk to downtown Brighton. We can walk to the elementary and middle school. It's 2 minutes from the office.
Perfect.
We have an acre. It's private. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming in. It's been really cool to get to know you further and get to know a little bit about how you got there. But all the pieces make sense, especially the flight attendant thing.
That's so good.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming in, Erin. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.